So today I'm doing something different. I'm recapping Carlos King interview with NeNe. This interview just came out 2 days ago. I debated whether or not to share my opinion and thoughts about this, or I even debated if I should wait for part two, but in retrospect, there have been a plethora of information that I think is very interesting to share and to discuss and think about on this interview. I will not hold you guys any longer. I will do this as quickly as I can. So, NeNe Leakes is ready to spill it all. She sat down with Carlos King, who is an ex-producer of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, a former one, that got fired because of, let's call a spade, allegedly because of Candy Burris. The two sat down and filmed a podcast episode that dropped on his format, Reality with the King. NeNe started off with some small talk. They were reminiscing of some old times. It felt very natural. The two were chatting, very organic with each other. They talked about salaries. And when I tell you that I was shocked, being shocked is an understatement to this. NeNe Leakes, the woman that actually built the house of Roa, made a total of $10,000 for the first season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I get that everyone has a pilot season and, a trial period of time to see where things are going to go. But $10,000 and about $50,000 for season 2 and only $5,000 for the reunions for both of these seasons. That's insane. That's insane to me. If we compare salaries like NeNe's to the ones that Andy Cohen used to have at that period of time, it's shocking. She also noted that Sheree and Kim ended up scoring around 100,000 around season 4 to 3 with NeNe. But she also stated that a financial success was not seen until around season 4-ish. NeNe also talks that she does not dislike Sheree. She is not really friendly with Sheree though in this period in her life. And she talked about the time where the pair had a disagreement and Sheree admitted that she purposely excluded NeNe from a gathering at her home that was had in, I think, season 3 or 4. And that was the moment where the ratings skyrocketed. So, Sheree always denied this, but now we're here a couple of years later. And she's finally admitted to it all. Anyways, NeNe talks about there being a shift on the show when Kenya and Portia were brought onto the cast and were joined. She also states that she does think that Portia and Kenya were very good additions to the show, but she does not think that they had that star potential because they were very excited for Kenya because they saw her as the Black Barbie because she's been the first African American Miss USA ever. And they obviously were excited for Portia because her grandfather was a very high up there civil right activist. So, yeah, and she also explained that she's never felt threatened by any of these women. Now, we can all debate on if she actually did feel a type of pressure or, you know, some thoughts about them, but I digress anyways. And she's also revealed that a thing that was so shocking to me, that they didn't want Portia back. And Candy and NeNe actually sat down with producers because Portia was going through a divorce to actually just convince them to let her stay on the show. And that they were really there for Portia getting her checks and being financially in a better place. She's also talked about the problems with putting her family in the spotlight. I've already done a video on it of this thing that happened with her son, Bryson Bryant, whom she shares with her ex, Calvin Bryant. And he's been involved with some charges, with some, tried identity theft, with some drugs, paraphernalia, possession, with him being a deadbeat father and not being on the right track of life. I hope that he does get his ish together and is there for his kids and gets to have a good relationship with NeNe and his ex-girlfriend or wife or whatever. Let's all say a prayer for Bryson Bryant. She's also talked about the late, Gregg Leakes, the iconic, kind Gregg Leakes, and their dynamic, and that he could hold his own, even though all of the viewers and fans always thought that NeNe had that, kind of dominant thumb on their dynamic, on their marriage. But NeNe shared that he actually called her up and said, well, you actually divorced me, which I thought was funny because at the end they actually did end up getting back together, which was so good for them. And yeah, and as you all know, Gregg actually passed away a couple of years ago. May he rest in so much peace. And that was also something interesting that she did share. And also their up and downs with NeNe, kind of overgoing the emasculating thing with her husband, because she actually did earn more money at the point where Atlanta actually skyrocketed with views, where we're getting about 4 to 5 or 6 million an episode. So she no longer had to ask him for money. She no longer had to ask him for anything. And she said that she thinks that this pulled some of his power or strength onto the marriage, because Gregg was a true gentleman. He wanted to provide, be there, and be in a dynamic where she not has to ask him for things, but where he feels needed for his wife. So she shared these details with us as well. And what can I remember as well? Oh, lastly, what we're going to discuss about this interview is Cynthia Bailey. Now, when I heard this bit with the discussion about Cynthia, I was shocked to say. Nonetheless, I was heartbroken because I always thought that Cynthia and NeNe were true friends and good friends. But she revealed that she didn't know Cynthia before she joined the cast of Roa, but that they met for lunch before filming began. And when they got together, NeNe claimed that Cynthia was starstruck for having their first interaction, and I could see Cynthia being a little starstruck, to be honest. NeNe was also unsure if Cynthia would be a good fit for the series at first, and it wasn't until producers also met Cynthia's ex, Peter, or as they like to call her, Patricia, when they went on the show. So yeah, that was a little nice tea. But the thing that kind of broke my heart is when NeNe said that she knows Cynthia in the front of the camera and she knows Cynthia in the back of the camera, and she definitely feels like Cynthia was also in the midst of pulling some, strings with producers to get her allegedly, potentially off of the show, which I just try so hard to not believe, because that would be heartbreaking. That's insane to me that Cynthia would do such a thing, and I really truly hope for the two of them that this is some kind of misunderstanding, that this is some petty, lightweight thing that they have going on, and that she could never be friends with her again. That is something that she stated, by the way, is just, that's crazy to me. So, such a sad thing for the two, for NeNe. I mean, we don't know Cynthia's side. There's always two sides to every story, but it's insane. What I make of this interview is that NeNe is ready. NeNe is personal. She's always been. She doesn't hide behind the bushes. She said that she is not really keen on rekindling some relationships that she's had with the women, but that she could work with all of them if she had to. And I think NeNe Leakes is ready to come back to bless our screens. Now, I do not know if this is going to be something with Carlos King that they decide to do, the two of them, if she is ready to squash the beef with Andy Cohen and come back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, if Andy Cohen's going to leave, and then she actually really has a very open door to, come back. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll have to wait. I guess we'll have to just look into the sky and pray. If these things come true, I will be flabbergasted, because NeNe is very much missed on the show, in my opinion. But she's also mentioned that as much as the girls' dynamic shifted with some women coming onto the show, getting off the show, she said that she's always been that girl that said, let's all work together so we can all, technically get a piece of bread off of this. And I totally agree with this statement. Anyways, you guys, I can't wait for the second part of this. I can't wait to review it. I want to see what it entails. And let me know your thoughts. Let's discuss. Let's exchange opinions. Keep it nice. And like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys later. Bye.